situation that we have in Lagos is also the political situation. And on Politics with KO, what we try and do is to go beyond the confusion and get something really meaningful. Good evening, viewers. You're welcome to Ben TV. My name is Kayode Ogundamisi, and the program is Politics with KO. If you're wondering why I'm wearing blue, there's a story behind that. They're beating themselves blue in Nigeria now. I mean, the National Assembly, you know, we're getting ready for the next Olympics, and we don't want to waste money on these sportsmen. So what we've done in Nigeria is we've gathered the senators and the lawmakers to do a bit of training exercise. So we're going to talk about them, but today's topic is actually going to be on people trafficking, the Nigerian connection. It's important we talk about this because apparently Nigerians are the second highest source of people and human trafficking in the UK, and that is a huge embarrassment. But we can't neglect the issue of the great boxers that we've elected into the National Assembly in Abuja. So I've got with me in the studio Ogbeni Dikpo Awojide and Atiti Sosimi. You're both welcome to Politics with KO.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so you also joined in the blue parade because they're beating each other blue.
Definitely, black and blue.
Black and blue. When last did you witness boxing, apart from, is it Evander Holyfield or what? It's an embarrassment to the country that we have lawmakers fighting, isn't it?
I mean, it beggars belief. I caught some of the information on Twitter, and I thought I was seeing things, and I saw the pictures, the stills of, you know, the lawmakers in action.
Wow.
And I was thinking about House of Commons and House of Parliament here, and trying to imagine a scenario like that.
Dikpo, change. This change is interesting because not only are they giving us slow motion government, they are also giving us some actions in the House of Assembly. What have we done wrong to deserve these characters?
I mean, yeah, this is a change that most Nigerians actually voted for. I would say the fighting, though, is not expected, but it is not entirely new because in other parliaments in the world, we've seen a bit of fighting as well. Yeah. But like I said, it is not expected. And I'm very certain that this phase it's just a phase. It's going to be over very soon. Yeah,
and for the benefit of our viewers, don't worry, we have that clip for you. Great boxers, Nigerian lawmakers. I mean, they are fighting over what? They want to protect your interests. You know, they want to eradicate poverty. They want to restore the 7 trillion naira deficit. They want to make sure they provide hospitals. And the best way for them to do it is not to debate, but to engage in battles in the National Assembly. And we are going to get the phone lines open before we go into our main topic. And the phone line, the number is 0208-808-0693. But we are going to get that clip ready for you. Now, Dikpo, we can't pretend that this is APC is the source of this crisis. They couldn't get themselves together to get a caucus, to get leadership in the National Assembly in place. Where did it go wrong?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think APC at the beginning of the 8th Senate, actually, they had consensus candidates who they actually wanted to lead the upper house and the lower house. But fortunately, unfortunately, this did not happen. And there has been infightings, there has been internal wranglings here and there. But at the end of the day, I personally believe that the party, the interest of the party should be supreme at all points in time. And every member of a political party, in this instance, every member of the APC should align themselves to the interest of the APC.
So let's bring it home. You live in the UK. We both live in the UK, but I say you are more like connected to the UK than any one of us here. How would you imagine David Cameron, and the legislators, the lawmakers, we have the Nigerians there, you know, throwing punches in the House of Parliament. Should it be said, maybe they did theirs like hundreds of years? Is it a learning process?
I actually don't think so. I think that it's a demonstration of indiscipline, period. There is no justifiable reason to hit another person. You know, that's the message we preach. And we've got adults here who have the capacity to dialogue and sit and listen and, you know, agree to disagree. Why is that so difficult? And I mean, that's a reflection of the governance system, and that is the message that they're portraying. How do you inspire any confidence in a legal a governance system when that is what the lawmakers are doing? And what has it resulted in? Has it achieved any positive benefit? You know?
And yeah, for our viewers, you have it on the screen now. I mean, look at that, is interesting. And the thing is that these guys want wardrobe allowance, and if we pay them those thousands of dollars they are asking for, you know, shouldn't we just get them a boxing glove? And these are adults watching this depot. How do you feel, you know?
I mean,
even though you say it's happened in China, it's happened all over the world, but this is not the kind of democratic process.
It's an embarrassment, to be honest, and especially for the APC. It's an embarrassment for the APC. I mean, it purely demonstrates a failure of leadership on the part of the leaders of the APC. And this is me being very frank here. The APC, the leadership of the APC, should have been able to sort out these issues before they actually get onto the floor of either the upper house or the lower house. But unfortunately, these things have happened, and the APC is going to move on. It's going to put itself together, and this would hopefully not happen again.
And people will be surprised to hear this from me. Have we just elected a mumu as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Because we thought Mr. Buhari was going to be the all-action general who fought wars, very decisive. But I mean, slow motion is actually not enough to describe his sort of aloofness towards the importance of the office of the presidency.
No, Mr. Kayode, I think what it is Buhari is actually trying as much as possible to be very independent. He's trying to, I mean, let the National Assembly and the lower house dictate their own, their own leaders and do what they want to do. He's trying to keep away from influencing the National Assembly. But at the end of the day, while most of us are not advocating for him to get involved with the National Assembly, we are advocating for him to get involved and influence the leadership of the APC. Because if he continues to, leave them to do whatever they want to do, they are going to run the party, get the party into so much trouble in a very short time.
Okay, I think in the UK, do you think the Prime Minister will be somehow involved in the election of key positions within his party? Will David Cameron be interested in what goes on in the activities of his? I mean,
he goes through, there is a process, and let's remove the he, but the office of the Prime Minister, I believe, gets involved in aspects of things like choosing a cabinet. But what baffles me is that it appears as if what's happened in Nigeria in this particular instance is that the process hasn't been followed. Sanctions don't appear to be in place to prevent this kind of action. And in truth, the issues that they're debating and fighting about aren't issues for the wider good of the people. Yeah, they're selfish issues. So if they were fighting like that because somebody had decided that, affordable education, for instance, was going to be scrapped, and everybody, didn't matter how much you earn, had to pay a substantial amount to educate your children. That if people were fighting so viciously for a reason like that, I would understand it. But I mean, I just think that there is huge indiscipline, and sanctions really need to be, to be put in place.
But Dipo, is it that the APC, should we conclude that they've lost it completely? If they cannot, the first thing they did was that they said Saraki defied the APC the first time, and then they gave him another set of lists to be lawmakers. He defied them, he made his appointment, and guess what? the PDP are in absolute control of the National Assembly, because even the new sets of principal officers are ex-PDP politicians, none in the ACN faction of the APC, no member of the CPC faction, not even the AMPP. So is it that we have a presidency, APC, PDP controls the House?
Not really. I think, yeah, while not just Saraki, I mean, because it couldn't have done this alone anyway, there are other APC members who have defiled the APC, so to say, or the wishes of the APC.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what a number of people are clamoring for is that there should be sanctions. And I am quite certain that very soon, something is going to be done by the leadership of the APC. I mean, because they can't actually let this go on. They can't actually let indiscipline and the interest of individuals override the interest of the party. Because what that does is it breaks the trust of party members. I mean, it disrupts. I mean, just see what we've seen today, infighting in the lower house. It's not nice. So the APC definitely is going to look into this. But like I said earlier, it's not the end of the APC. This is just the beginning.
So should we start missing Mr. Goodluck Jonathan at this moment, the former Nigerian president? Should we, at least during his time, the wrestling match didn't take place at the National Assembly. Maybe they had it behind the scenes. Are we already missing former President Jonathan?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that whilst it's a terrible thing that it's happened, it's a good thing that it's happened because it's exposed the quality of, you know, individuals we have in key positions of leadership. It's made us recognize how completely undesirable they are, and it's made us realize that they have maybe within their, you know, own scope of understanding, they feel they have an entitlement to this, you know, these things that they're fighting for, but actually they've forgotten the purpose for which they serve.
Okay.
And so, no, I don't think so, because...
Dikpo, how can APC claw back from this crisis? How can President Buhari reassert himself, not only as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, but also as a leader, one of the main leaders of the party? Because, I mean, even a toilet supervisor would be interested in what takes place among the people he appoints to clean the toilet. Should he not be realistic that he cannot separate himself from the party? You know,
Mr. Kayode, at the end of the day, those who are saying President Buhari is a weak man would be the first set of people to start shouting when he starts wielding his power and when he starts getting involved in almost all the activities and party positions of the APC. Let's give him some time.
Okay.
I think it is nice that President Buhari has stayed away totally from what is happening in the NAS. But at the end of the day, in the next few weeks and few months, we expect that it's going to get more involved in the activities of the APC. And believe me, there's going to be control, there's going to be discipline. I mean, and everyone is, the APC is going to have a coherent direction once Buhari begins to exert his influence on the party.
Okay, thanks, but I don't want us to waste too much time on the legislators or the lawmakers we have in Abuja, but we don't want a boring political period for the next 4 years. Of course, we also saw President Buhari and his cows, and it seems that each time he visits the farm, he gets inspired. We want to thank you, Mr. President, but some are saying maybe we need to move some of those cows into Aso Rock. And since those inspirations seem to come from there, you know, maybe things will get moving. We want our Buhari back. That's what people are saying. Bring back our tough General Buhari. But tonight, we're going to move into the main topic. And I know my producer is getting that tape ready because it's sad. Can you believe it? People trafficking is a worldwide problem. You know, you have people move children across the world. But in the UK, in 2014, out of 244, out of 2,000 potential trafficking victims that were found in the UK, 244 of them were from Nigeria. That is a 31% increase from 2013. So officially in the UK, Nigerians, yes, you looking at me, are the ones involved in bringing children, au pairs in disguise as slave laborers in the UK. And this is sad, and the UK government are really getting worried. The Home Office are actually saying clearly that this is a Nigerian problem, and that is why we're here. We want to find out what has gone wrong. The phone lines are going to be thrown open. Now, Atiti, you are quite concerned about this. Did it come as a surprise that Nigerians are involved in this?
No, it didn't come as a surprise that Nigerians are involved, and it wouldn't surprise me that any nation would be involved in this practice. What surprises me is the fact that it's claimed that we have the second highest rating for this practice. That's what's surprising. I didn't realize that it was that bad. And I had thought that issues around enlightenment of what is acceptable practice in terms of, you know, having domestic help were sort of like more widely communicated, and therefore people were not bringing children in as they used to. So that was the concern.
Yeah, but Dipo, when I heard about this, I actually visited Peckham and quite a number of places where Nigerians are concentrated, and went into shops where they sell Nigerian food. And I could see underage kids helping out, just like you see in Nigeria. And this is one of the things our community needs to start looking into. And I want people to call in, you know, if you witness these things, why are people helping out in food stores when they are meant to be in school? These are worrying. As a community, what should we be doing?
I think it's quite unfortunate that we have almost the same thing that we are fighting in Nigeria, for kids to be taken off the streets. I mean, 12, 13-year-old boys and girls should not be on the streets selling, hawking during school hours. If this is now happening in the UK, I think it's a major issue. I think what the Nigerian community can do basically is, I mean, like you rightly said, visiting these shops, people need to start exposing whatever shop, wherever you suspect that things like this are going on. People need to start exposing those shops and exposing those individuals who are bringing in underage kids or who are bringing in people for prostitution into the UK.
Okay, I've got our first caller, and we want you to make it short and straight to the point. Good evening, caller. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Where are you calling from, and what's your name,
I'm
please?
coming from Southwest.
All right, go ahead. What's your name?
My name is Jimmy.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah, good evening. My own is it possible that these people at the house should not get their wages? The Senate, the rep, because now they are going on break. They just come back 2 weeks, and now they're going for another 3 weeks. So they should not get their wages, because if it's somebody working for them, do that, what they do is disgrace. I don't think any one of them is going to pay that staff, or even they're going to suspend the staff. I
agree with you completely that...
so you people should campaign, right?
Yes.
So maybe people will sign a petition. We should not get their wages. Because if it's their own private business, and somebody do that, I know all of them will either sack those people or they're going to suspend them. Okay,
thank you so much for your call.
Okay, and
thank you very much. And that's the issue about the legislators. I usually have slip of tongues, and I need to caution myself. They are not legislators, they are legislators. So there's a call that they shouldn't be getting their wages. Well, we don't know how far that could be achieved, but let's get back to the issue of child and people trafficking in the UK. And we have a number of NGOs activities in the UK. I know there are quite a number of Nigerian-inspired NGOs who are involved in the campaign against child trafficking. We have these NGOs, and we still have a rise in the cases of people trafficking. Is it that people are forming NGOs and they are not doing their jobs, or that they are overwhelmed, you know, with the kind of with the issues at stake?
I think the reality is that it's very difficult for those NGOs to police what happens. And like Dipo said, if it isn't brought to your attention that there is a vulnerable child being used to, you know, as a shop attendant in a shop, how will you know? The NGOs can deal with cases that are brought to them, but it's very difficult for them to, you know, become sort of like civil police and then just start going around shops in Peckham, and except of course in the good old days where, you know, if children were playing truants, the police would, you know, follow them. You'd have police on the beat and they'd see a child and why aren't you in school? Take me to your home and that kind of thing. I think the problem for me is that it's an education problem, and it's supply and demand. If there wasn't, you know, a demand for that kind of thing, there would be no supply because nobody would take the children. And if people aren't educated both in the dangers and the sanctions that they could face, and very serious ones, then maybe if they don't have those things, they think they can get away with it.
Okay, Dipo, in Nigeria, I know that people will be able to come back, and some come in illegally, some you have to claim that blood relatives are yours. And I know there's a term in Lagos Airport they call Oriolori. You know, it means, it's a Yoruba term for using someone's head. You know, it means people use other people's passport. Is it not an indictment on even the immigration, that we don't have a tight border, there are people not controlling how people get out kids out of the country? Has it got to do with the institutions in the country?
Yeah, definitely. The immigration in Nigeria, first of all, a number of people actually complain that they are more concerned about what you're giving to them, like bribe or what do you have for us and all of that, more than their job. I mean, from personal experience, my mom was actually going to bring my nephew here to the UK, and the Home Office actually delayed this for about 5-6 weeks, because they were trying to find out if, I mean, what relationship did they actually have. And they had to write to me, and I had to confirm that, oh, that's my mom, and that's my sister.
So it makes things difficult for genuine.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a bit of control from this side, from the UK side. But from the Nigerian side, that control has to be improved.
Okay, let's hear what our caller has got to say on this. Hello, good evening, caller. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Sholola is my name, and I'm coming from Nottingham.
All right, go ahead, Sholola.
Okay, I want to talk about the Nigerian situation. You know, you just with the lawmakers focusing and fighting.
Yes.
It's grating. I want to talk about the lawmakers that are fighting the other time.
Yes.
I want to say actually it's grating. But I'm a visitor here, and I just came in from Nigeria a few days ago. That is the situation at home. They are not fighting for the interest of the masses, but they are fighting for their own pocket. It's unfortunate that the president has been aloof. Actually, he didn't want to go into. He doesn't want to involve himself in the situation of the house. But as it is now, he has to do something. Buhari is not a man of. It's not as soft as we think. But you know, this is politics. This is not military. So he's trying to take his time. But as the situation is now, he has to get himself involved, and the party has to do something, because it is as if there are some individuals who are more interested in their personal aggrandizement rather than the interest of the mass.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Recently.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for. Thank you very much for that contribution. And you see, that's the call that General Buhari might have a joker for the country. We should be calm. We should, you know, just wait and see what's going to happen. But I know the course will be going to, a lot of course will be the conversation about the legislators. We'll be mixing everything. You know, it's DJK now. We're not hosting a political issue. So we'll try and mix things together. But back to the topic about people trafficking. We've talked about the institutions in the country. Atiti, do you have concerns that Nigerians are being stigmatized? That it might not actually be right. The Home Office might be playing some trick here. That we can't be the second highest. I mean, for what reason? Maybe they are mixing up genuine cases, you know, with cases that are not so genuine.
That was a very real fear initially when I read about it. And the reason I say that is because I recall that a couple of years ago, I was apprehended at the border. I'd taken my 5 children on holiday, and I also had a young girl who I was a guardian for because I was taking her for an assessment at a school. And we'd all gone on holiday together, so I had letters from the parents and her passport and all the rest of it. And yet, because people in this side of the world so the border agency officials here, have been alerted to the possibility of people trafficking children. And I had 5 children and then one that was quite reserved. I was detained. And a thorough investigation was carried out to see if I had, you know, the right permissions to have her in my care. Now, whilst it infuriated me because I was delayed and my whole family was delayed, it gave me a bit of respite to know that I had nothing to hide, so I was happy with whatever went on. But the truth of the matter is that whilst genuine people will find themselves being victim of a system that is put in place to protect innocent children, the other downside of it is that, you know, there are lots of ways, as I understand it, that they bring the children in to the country. So the problem isn't here. The problem really, I think that maybe because there is a focus on us as Nigerians for other reasons, potentially, maybe that's why we're currently the highest, but I don't think that that will remain the case.
I'll quickly read, I'll go on Twitter. Atiem Bada says to tell Atiti that she's so intelligent, please let her know. She's insisting. At Montaka Garba says, Ogundamisi, you're a mumu and you're a fool for convincing people like us to vote for another mumu. But I only said, I hope we've not voted a mumu. Anyway, I take that. I always take that on board. That's fine. I'm hoping we've not voted a mumu in, really, seriously. The situation in our country is so serious. You know, if you're a Nigerian and you don't feel concerned about the situation in Nigeria now, and you don't see the urgency, the need for an urgent, radical change, a country where over 75% live below the poverty line, where 7 trillion naira, not kobo, 7 trillion naira has just gone missing, where $20 billion will just go just like that. I don't think a president should be telling us to turn the page, you know, or should be telling us the problems are bad. We know the problems are bad. Get on and do the job. Let's see results. Well, let's have the next caller. Good evening, caller. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Chris. I'm calling from London.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. I'm just trying to contribute a little bit to what the last caller said.
Go ahead, please.
About Buhari.
Yes.
Yeah. The gentleman on the stage there, people said that they should give Buhari time.
Yes.
Listen, people should understand that Buhari is an experienced man. Yeah. What is the time to be given there? Even before he got into the power, he's supposed to have gotten his crew members ready to kickstart his government, right? He got in there. You see, one of the former leaders are still there, are still in power. They should give him time. What time is they going to give him? Is he new to the system? He got into the system. They say they don't want to be involved because this is not military. The same thing they were saying about Goodluck Jonathan, that he's so slow, he's not active. What are they saying about Buhari?
Okay, let me ask you this question. Let me ask. Yeah, let me ask you. I want my producer to keep you on. Let me ask you this. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this question. Hello, are you still there? Oh, you're still there. Does it surprise you that a man that has spent 16 years trying to be president of the country and had 3 months getting elected, that he does not have even a chief of staff? I mean, chief of staff, that's the minimum that you can actually bring into the presidency. You know, did it come as a surprise to you?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not.
Okay. All right, Dipo, thanks for your call anyway. Dipo, that's a serious one. People are, look, we can't cover this thing up. Even those of us who really supported the general, we should be concerned that the least you can get is even your support base, that if you add that support base, you know, they would have been doing all the dirty work, you know, in terms of the National Assembly issue. I know we'll get distracted from child trafficking, but a quick comment on that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when I said give Buhari time, I didn't mean give him 6 months or give him 8 months. I mean, he's just one month into his administration, and not even forgetting about the people who were saying give Jonathan 4 more years after 5 years of failure.
Yeah.
I mean, Buhari has just been here for 1 month. Let's give him a bit more time. We know things are very bad in the country. Education, I mean, is bad. The security situation is very bad. There are no jobs for young people. Yeah. All these are going to be sorted. Once Buhari is able to, I mean, select a competent team, and there are loads of people within the APC who are competent, who are very intelligent, who will deliver on the good governance that Nigerians are yearning for. So a few more weeks, and we'll see Buhari swing into action.
Viewers, that's a message of hope from Dikpo. A few more weeks, then the tortoise will get to his destination. We are very hopeful. I mean, we should be very hopeful. But back to child trafficking. Now, I've got 3 girls, and I will feel concerned. And one of the major parts of this is that there's the issue of sexual enslavement on the part of kids that are brought into the UK. And this is not just Nigerian children. You know, you just have people brought in at the age of 7, 8, and before they are 14, they are being used as sex slaves. And there are key cases of Nigerians involved in this. I thought this was rampant in Italy. Should we be concerned that it's happening in the United Kingdom?
I think the case in Italy is slightly different because it was grown adults, women who were going there, and the system sort of encouraged it because it was sort of a system that we fueled ourselves and encouraged and participated in. That's slightly different because we're talking here about, you know, children who are minors, and therefore highly vulnerable. I think what has happened is that as a community, we're not helping ourselves. If we know that this is going on, we have a responsibility to do something about it. And reading about it for me is really good because I didn't realize that that was happening. And that doesn't mean that I'm not part of the British Nigerian community in the UK. It simply means that it was not something on my radar. Now, if something isn't on your radar, you don't sort of look out for it. Now that it's sort of been flagged up the way it has, I think a lot more people will begin to start looking at the problem.
Yeah, before we take the next phone call and we show you a small clip, I've got a breaking news. The APC has reacted to the election of principal officers by President Saraki's. When I say president, I mean president in real terms because he seems to be taking more decisive action than the man we elected as president. He overruled his political party today and elected his own principal officers. Now, the APC have reacted. They said the All Progressive Party has strongly condemned what transpired at both the chambers of the National Assembly today. We condemn it, and we will only recognize the list that we sent to the Senate. Now, that is confusion in the land. Before Dikpo quickly reacts to that, let me get our next caller on the line. Hello, good evening, caller. Tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ozoma. I'm calling from Holland.
Yeah. Oh, we're happy to have our people in Holland. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Thank you, my brother. In fact, I like the job you are doing.
Thank you.
So let me tell you about the political situation in Nigeria. Nigerians, they believe too much. In that in slogan. You see, Buhari cannot solve the problem of Nigeria if you can really that is true from the fact. Look at the Buhari. See the people that surround him. A tree cannot make a forest. Buhari may be a good man. Yes, we said so. And this is not a military time.
Okay.
This is a civilian time. This is a democratic time. Buhari cannot. I'm telling you, you can see it. Now this is the beginning. You know, during the time of this election, they are singing a song. People don't even really sit down and think properly. Look, this is it. You, my brother, you will see. I'm here with you. I'm following you. Yeah. You will see that the 4 years will go. They can't achieve anything. Rather, they will continue to drag Nigeria from left to right. Okay,
thank you so much for your call. Thank you very much for that contribution. And I had this happening conversation online by elderly Nigerians, by young Nigerians. This is not military. This is civilian. They can't do anything. should we just get rid of democracy and get a benevolent dictator if that is going to help our situation? Because how can we say in a democratic process things will be slowed down because we cannot we can't move things forward? You know, that excuse, do you buy the idea?
No.
We are not the only democracy in the world. There are people who are a democratic society and they take decisive action.
Yeah, at the end of the day, while it is understandable that this is not a military setting and Buhari is not a dictator, this is a democracy, he has to be very careful. He has to be very benevolent, but he also has to be very firm. He has to lead the APC. He has to practically take control of the APC. Yeah. And while I do agree what the callers actually said, that Buhari is just an individual. Yeah. He is not just an individual. He's a very important individual within the APC. Of course, there are other individuals within the APC, but there has to be discipline. Okay. There has to be coherence in what the party is doing. I mean, the party has an hierarchy and there's a structure on ground. Individuals should not come in to erode the structures and the hierarchy of the party. So it is expected that the APC will put its house in order and ensure that, I mean, if there is need for sanctions, sanctions should be meted out and move the party and the country forward. Okay,
I've got a call on the line, and I am serious about this. We have to have that video about the situation in Italy and France. But it's a democratic program. It's your program. Good evening, caller. Tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, K.O.
Yeah, good evening. What's your name and where you're calling from?
God bless you. I want to quickly chip in my idea on the people that were starting in the house of the lower house that was fighting.
Yes.
You actually campaigned firmly for Buhari during.
Yeah, I did, and I have no regrets actually.
Yeah, God bless you for that.
Yeah.
And I cherish that. So please, you in the diaspora, I want to use your medium, the Nigerian Constitution section 110, subsection 69. Which says the recall. We can put up a petition to the INEC to suspend these people, two people that was fighting, and have the by-election for these people so that they can learn a lesson.
That's
also, Buhari cannot introduce into their affair. They are independent. They have their immunity. The lawmakers, they go to the house to talk and leave policy for the president to implement. So Buhari cannot come into the matter deciding for them. He has to be very careful.
Okay.
So
thank you so much. That's a very important suggestions. As Nigerians, we spend the time, we talk, we condemn, and we analyze, we overanalyze things, but then we've got the power. The callers directed us that we have the power to recall lawmakers. Let's take a short break. This promo, this video is very important. The issue of child trafficking, people trafficking is important. It needs to stop. And as members of the ethnic minority community, we need to help ourselves. Don't go away. We're coming back and we'll focus on child trafficking and the Nigerian factor. Listen to this and watch this video. Really, how did we get to this point? Prostitution in itself is not unlawful, it's not illegal, but to take advantage of kids, young children.
Sexploitation, and people have felt that, you know, if they leave the poverty and the deplorable conditions in which they live in Nigeria, there is somewhere better where they can have a better life, better quality of life. And a lot of people have bought into that because the whole concept of, you know, come abroad, you know, and you'll make money. And the concept of making money is ingrained in the exchange rate. So, you know, you hear that, well, if you make £10 and the value of a pound is 300 naira, that means you're making 3,000 naira, and that automatically makes you feel, you know, I'm going to be rich, you know, so I don't have to go and work or whatever for a long time, and I can come back and do something. But it's a hook, you know, which they get sucked into. But what I feel most hurt by is the role the women, the mature women,
the madams,
who have gone through it themselves. the role they play in perpetuating this evil is what really frustrates me.
Okay, I've got a call on the line, but please just hold on a minute, my caller, because I want Dikpo to quickly say something. I mean, I don't know if you're a father, but to watch Nigerian children, any children from any part of the world, you know, we have kids missing in the country, but to watch our own people ferry our young children, prostitution, forced labor, really.
Yeah, I'm a father, I've got a son. I mean, the clip that we just saw is quite unfortunate. I mean, it's not nice that something like this is going on. I always like to relate everything back to politics, because at the end of the day, if the economy of the country is good, if there are jobs for young people, if everyone is almost comfortable, you wouldn't find people who will be easily deceived into going abroad for better life, even when it is not better life, when they are being used for sex slavery and sex trade. So at the end of the day, a number of people are using this as a career. I mean, all the madams and all the people in charge, it's like a career for them, exploiting other people. And I think people should expose them. So calling on the Nigerian community within the UK, if you know anyone in France, if you have any family members, any relatives, anyone who is engaging or who is engaged in bringing younger girls or younger people,
get in touch with the authority.
Get in touch with the authority. No one is going to get into trouble. Get these people out and report them to the authority.
Okay. Let me take our caller in. Let me apologize for keeping you those long, but this is very important. Child trafficking, what have you got to say? Tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, my name is Garba. I'm prepared to be patient for Nigeria for even 20 years, and I have. My name is Garba.
All right, go ahead, Garba.
Okay, what we are talking about, child trafficking and all these things. This thing has been going on for over 20 years. No, it's not something that just started happening. It's been there long time, yeah?
Yeah.
And 95%, from what I have read and what I know, 95% of them come from Edo State, somewhere in Nigeria.
I read that.
Yeah.
And it's not something that is new.
Okay.
We have over 500 churches here in United Kingdom.
That's another.
At least 100 of them have at least over 1,000 members. That's my statistic. I know that. There are big churches here. They can say the same. They can talk. But some of these churches, because they have got people who live with them. They know all these things. So that's why most of them are keeping quiet. Okay. So it's not something that's new. Okay. Let me come because I want to make sure I use my time quickly.
Okay. Quite. Yeah.
When you were talking about Buhari.
Yes.
Buhari. Imo State, my wife comes from Imo State, and also majority of my friends are from Moshu.
All right.
They haven't paid them salary. These are APC states. They haven't paid salary to their teachers for the past over one year, and they still return them. They still voted for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. When you are saying about Cameron, has he got power over his
party
appointees? No, he hasn't, because there's something called in conservative called 1922 committee.
Okay. Yep.
They decide what's going to happen. Not they come and decide only his cabinet, but any other thing is decided by this 1922 committee.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. That's actually an important information, and you see, we learned something new in politics with KO. That it's standard practice. Your party would have a say in what you do. But let me get back to the issue of child trafficking, because this is quite dear to us, and it touched on a very important topic, Dikpo, the role of our big, massive churches in the UK. They should be playing. They should be doing something about it. There should be a campaign about this.
Yeah. While I agree that there should be a campaign about this in the UK, from the big churches, not just the churches alone. I mean, other community associations, youth organizations like Kanuk, for example, should actually be speaking about this. If there are known cases of individuals who are encouraging this, they should actually be fished out and reported to the authorities. But going back to Nigeria, what exactly is the National Orientation Agency? What are they doing about this? Have we been hearing this on AIT, on Radio Nigeria, on channels?
So the media in Nigeria?
Yeah, what are they doing back home in Nigeria? So in Edo State, they should be sensitizing people, letting young people know that those who are trying to get you to go to abroad, to go and work, promising you jobs and all these things, are deceiving you.
Okay, let me quickly take this call and I'll come to Atiti because I want to find out about yourself and Dikpo. Good evening, caller. Please make this snappy. We've got very few time left. Tell me, make your contribution, please.
All right. It's Henry calling from Birmingham.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, my point here is that the problem we're facing in Nigeria is not about PDP or APC. The constitution we are practicing is the problem. That constitution needs to be changed. Imagine some state has never paid their civil servants.
Yeah.
Why? Better we should go, every state should control their resources.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to be the president anymore.
Okay.
The president will just be figure.
Okay.
Let's contribute in Abuja.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your call. And Atiti, now, the program has been somber. I mean, it's sad, but tell us about yourself before we let in the next caller. What do you do?
I'm an educator and I'm a serial creative entrepreneur. So I lecture part-time in higher education. And I've worked for the last 15 years in personal development. And my work in personal development has seen me publish 3 books. The 3rd book, which is available in 8 languages, is also the inspiration for a board game, which I invented, which is called Shh or Tell It. And it's a decision-making game. And the reason why I think that it's a really important tool is because we're having a conversation here right now about a very important issue. And the issue is about child trafficking. Now, one of the things that I find is that when things are going on, when there's a situation, we don't know whether to talk about it or not. We don't know whether to shush or tell. And my game really is a family fun board game. But it's been used at the moment in schools, it's been used in family settings, it's been used in team building and work settings. Because when you have issues, if somebody tells you that my neighbor bought this child, you know, and I hear the child crying a lot, and the child came from Nigeria when the person went away, you know, you're sitting there and asking yourself, is that a shush or tell? Is that something I should do something about or not? Do I ask a question or not? The game itself gives people in family settings, right, where people generally don't tell each other things, the opportunity to explore whether you would tell a situation like that, because it's scenario-based. If you were confronted with it, what would you do? So that really is one of the key things I do with the board game.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Because I want to keep to time, I'll come to Dikpo. I want to quickly read the text messages. We've got Ikem says, what we're experiencing now is out of a segment trying to hijack all the positions in the North and the West cannot have it all. So he thinks it's an advantage against for Northwest. And they have got another text message. Steven says, from the outset, Buhari has made it clear he's not going to meddle in the leadership of the National Assembly. Tinubu and his APC supporters in the Southwest should learn to acknowledge defeat and move on. And that's Lucky Ile Ayis from the UK. I've got Ransom say, KO, is there any way we can do without these senators and whatever we can do to get rid of them? That's another text message. I've got, well, we've got so many text messages and we want to thank you for that. Dikpo, quickly tell us, because we've got, our time is, what do you have next?
Okay,
what do you have in place?
I also lecture in higher education part-time, and I'm rounding off my doctorate degree. I am also an entrepreneur. We've got an event coming up, been there, done that. There's a leadership conference coming up on the 4th of July at London Metropolitan University. So I just encourage everyone, go on Twitter, look for Being There 2025 or follow Ogbeni Dikpo, and you'd see more about this event.
I want to thank both of you for coming on Politics with you. It's a pleasure to have you here. And viewers, I will continue to thank you for your magnanimity. We want the criticism to come in. We want to thank everyone behind the scene. Rose Peter, Rose Ajayi, Alistair Shoyede, and everybody, good night and God bless. We'll see you next Thursday.